Hi, it's Dan with We Love RV Camping. In this video, I want to talk about the connections that we may be very used to setting up or connecting to our vehicle every time we tow the camper, but I'm curious if you've ever actually considered how all of them are supposed to work. The one I want to focus on today is the breakaway cable. As you can see here, I have this breakaway cable, which I think is a vast improvement over some of the other ones, but the last time I did a video about the breakaway cable and using this version as the replacement, we got a lot of interesting conversation on the topic. So I wanted to make this follow-up video to talk to you about it because it brought up some very good points. So one of the biggest questions or conversation topics that we had was, how long should your breakaway cable be on your camper, and how should that length compare to the length of your tow chains or your emergency chains? And we had two pretty distinct thoughts on this. One, people would argue that if it was too long and your chains were attached, that it wouldn't break free, and if you had a failure on your hitch and this thing came loose, then the camper would chase you down and run into your car and potentially cause an accident. Which I was like, oh, that's makes sense. That could be a very bad day. But then somebody brought up the counterpoint that said, if these are still attached, then that means that your power cord is still attached, and therefore you can apply the brakes on the camper with the vehicle. So that obviously is a good point. I'm interested in seeing what you guys think about this, whether you make this shorter than your tow cable on purpose, or whether the breakaway cable is simply for catastrophic failure to put the brakes on if there is a massive separation between your vehicle and the camper. Now, considering how all these things are attached, I'm not really sure what that would look like to have a failure of both your chains as well as your hitch. I don't know if the front end of your tongue broke off or what that would actually look like, but it is an interesting conversation topic in terms of how long this should be. Now, what I've discovered with this, first, these breakaway cables that are kind of springy, they don't hang on the ground. You don't have to figure out whether to weave them under the chains or over the chains. They kind of take up their own slack. And what I've also discovered is if you want to make this a little bit shorter, there's an easy way to do it. So what I have discovered with these particular style, if you are concerned that it's too long, you can actually bring your and I do recommend having a carabiner on the end of this. It certainly makes things easier. If you take a couple of the rings somewhere farther back here and you loop them through again, that's going to give you a shorter chain here, and when you pull on it at that shorter distance, it's still going to pop off. Now, you want to test it, of course, and make sure that that's going to happen. But like we said, depending on your school of thought, the only time that the breakaway cable should come into play is if you have a catastrophic failure where your chains come off. And as we can see, we do want to make sure that this isn't too short, because you don't want this popping out of your camper while you're actively towing. That would be kind of scary. But I just wanted to make this video because I do think this is an interesting conversation to have, and a lot of times we just go through the motions and hook everything up the way we have, but we never really give a lot of thought to what happens when everything fails. But I think in either way, this is just a last resort safety mechanism that is only going to come into play if somehow your camper completely detaches, goes beyond your chains, because again, if we look at our cables here, you'll see that you're still going to have power from the vehicle to put on your brakes even if you lose the actual trailer hitch. You do want to make sure, of course, that your power cord is longer than your chains so that you do maintain that control and you can apply the brakes using your tow vehicle. But definitely worth something to follow up on. Make sure that you've given it thought. Also, if you want to get this type of breakaway cable to clean up that standard straight cable, I'll put a link in the description below. It's a very popular item. You can grab it on Amazon, and it just cleans up this entire setup. So wanted to share that with you. If you want to see more videos about RV camping in the outdoors, make sure you click that subscribe button and the bell notification icon so you don't miss future content. I'll see you on the road.